Hey everyone, Poindexter here, and today I'm beginning a series dedicated to showcasing a great solitaire war game from Verssen Games called B-17 Flying Fortress Leader. Now, this is a World War II strategic bombing solitaire game that takes place in the European theater of operations. Now, I've played a couple of campaigns to get familiar with the mechanics of the game, so though I'm no rookie, don't expect Curtis LeMay levels of tactical brilliance. My goal is simply to rack up a decent score to not to be considered terrible and, of course, give this game some exposure. So what's in this game? Well, we've got multiple historic bomber groups composed of B-17 Flying Fortresses, B-24 Liberators, B-26 Marauders, along with optional B-29 Super Fortresses and B-25 Mitchells for those what-if scenarios. Fighter groups composed of Spitfires, P-47 Thunderbolts, P-38 Lightnings, P-51 Mustangs, and P-80 jets. We'll be bombing all kinds of targets: airfields, factories, oil refineries, V-1 weapon sites, transportation, just to name a few. While we're fighting off waves of German Bf-109s, FW-190s, Bf-110s, Me-410s, and maybe, but hopefully not, Me-262 jets. If you'd like to know more about this great solitaire game, check out videos on YouTube. A lot of great gamers there, definitely more well-known than me. Visit BoardGameGeek.com for all things board game related, or head over to DVG's website. Now, let's get started actually playing B-17 Flying Fortress Leader. Before we dig into the heart of the game, let's take a moment to look at the game board and get an overview of how the game is laid out. And I'll throw in some gameplay rules as well. This is the main game board, a nice mounted map board, where nearly all of our action will take place. In the center, we have a strategic map of England, occupied France, and Germany, with large hexes superimposed over everything. This is where the meat of the game takes place. All potential bomb targets, Luftwaffe squadrons, waypoints, and our bomber group will be shown here. All missions start here, at the UK base. The numbered hexes are used to denote where we will be placing counters that will represent Luftwaffe squadrons. In the upper left of the board, we have the game calendar, which, depending on the campaign, will dictate the number of turns we will have, with most campaigns lasting for several months. For example, the month of May has 3 weeks, which translates into 3 turns. We can fly up to 2 missions per week. Just below the game calendar is the tactical board. This is where we will place the counters of all of our bomber and fighter groups participating on the current mission. Only one fighter group is allowed to escort the bombers. They may either fly in the high or low position for the duration of the mission, unless your fighter group is composed of shorter range fighters, in which case they may be forced to turn back early. We will also conduct all bandit attacks on our group here as well. We'll talk more about how to resolve combat during an actual mission. Below the tactical board is the secondary mission area, where we keep track of alternate targets that are determined by the campaign we are playing. Not all campaigns have secondary missions, but most do. What secondary mission you perform is determined by a random card draw, and you have 2 months to perform said mission. Failing to take care of these secondary targets could have negative effects on your overall campaign, while being successful could potentially give you benefits. Again, there are a lot of targets to choose from. To the right of the strategic map, we have the card area, where our airfield and factory target cards are kept, German commanders, and event cards. Just below the card area is the theater area. This area is used to simulate other major fronts during the war, in this case, the Mediterranean and Russia. As these theaters advance or retreat, the chances of Luftwaffe squadrons getting posted to these areas increases or decreases accordingly, thus keeping them out of the European theater, which means fewer German squadrons for us to contend with. The movement of these theaters is determined at the end of every month and can be modified in several ways. We'll deal with these theaters in greater detail at the end of the month. This area is just below the strategic map. The top row keeps track of all German bandits we destroy, either by bombing airfields or shooting them down in air combat. When 5 bandits are destroyed, 1 Luftwaffe squadron is removed from the strategic map, simulating attrition. Below this row is the aircraft factory monthly output. Aircraft factories generate supply points. Supply points then generate new Luftwaffe squadrons at the end of the month. In short, ignoring factories during a campaign can quickly cause the strategic map to become filled with German squadrons, which will make your bombing missions even more risky and dangerous. And, of course, lots and lots of counters. Before I end this introductory video, there are a couple of other game board areas that I should mention. Just below the secondary missions is this area, which involve a few different things. ETO tactical targets are used during the 1944 Allied invasion campaign. The rules require you to randomly draw tactical counters and place them in this area. The Luftwaffe Reserve is used at the end of every month when the player rolls for the placement of new Luftwaffe squadrons. When a 1 is rolled, German squadrons are placed in the reserve area to be used as a pool if there are only 4 Luftwaffe squadrons left on the strategic map. Finally, the German technology box. This space is used to denote any active German technology that has been activated by a German commander. Not every German commander has the ability to activate a technology. Finally, all along the top of the game board are target placement indicators. This is where you will place all of your active targets in the current game. This area allows space for up to 11 targets, and hopefully that's all you'll ever use, because there are some situations where 11 spaces isn't enough. Like I've said before, lots of targets. Well, that wraps it up for this intro video into B-17 Flying Fortress Leader. Next time, we'll begin setting up and flying an actual mission. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk again soon.